Jumping into trash in the junk removal business? Well, you, my friend, are in the right space and place here on the Trash Talk Business Podcast. We cover everything you need to know to start, grow, and scale, along with a little trash talk here and there. I'm Andy Weins. We got Casey Bubba Lawrence. We talk trash. We're military vets. It's what we do. And we have a very special guest on episode 9 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. For those of you guys watching and listening from home, last week we brought you Mike, who is a subject matter expert with over 30 years, not quite 40, in the waste world. And now we are going the opposite. Tracy here. Tracy watched one of our episodes of the podcast, hit me up with an email a few days later, and I thought to myself, if everybody else brings on experts on their podcast, let's do the opposite. Let's bring on a guy who's got a 9-to-5. Wants to get into junk removal, doesn't know where to start. And as much as I can just take a phone call and Casey and I can send some ideas to him and shoot some emails of what to do and not to do, we think it's a lot more fun just to have a conversation. We've never met or talked to Tracy. I know nothing about him. I learned from Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas, the best baseball team in all the land. If everybody else goes this way, you go that way. So where everybody else takes on experts and brings them on their podcast, we want to bring on someone that's not an expert so it can challenge Casey and I on what we think we know in junk removal, and also challenge our years of experience. Do they hold up the test of time when there's new and or innovative ideas to get in this industry? So that's what we're doing today. Normally I ask Casey what we're doing, but I'm telling him. I'm taking control. Casey's taking this call from his car because he bought a $15 Amazon tray. Might show it to us later. He has better Wi-Fi there in Texas. So I'm Andy Weins, joining you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Casey Bubba Lawrence down there in the great state of Texas. Tracy, tell me, who are you, where are you from, and why are you here?
Sure. I'll try to keep it short. Tracy I am from Lexington, South Carolina. Kind of a secondary type market to Columbia, which is the capital city in South Carolina. I was military, National Guard for 6 years. And for the past 6 years from now, I've been working at Michelin Tires. Did that, did some other stuff while I was working there. We got a very firefighter type rotation where we work, it's a rotating shifts, but we only work like 15 days a month, but they are 12-hour days. And so during those 6 years of working this job and having those 15 days a month off, I started doing some entrepreneurial stuff. I went and got my real estate license in 2018. I held that to 2020, and I did it part-time. And then after that, I did some real estate investing. So I kind of got my fingers into that network. And that's pretty much it. I did some other entrepreneurial stuff before that, but it was smaller, lesser stuff, like a clothing brand, outdoor clothing brand that I started, and I ran that for, a little while part-time. Mm-hmm. And now I want to get into junk. It's like you said, when everybody zigs, you probably zag. So everybody's like going, NFT or, software engineer or, all this glamorous shit, right? And I'm just wanting to go the other way because I see there is a clear hole for people that work hard. Like any trades.
I got one question for you, Tracy, real quick. It's simple, straight to the point, but why? Why junk removal? Yeah.
Why? Because for one, I want to have my own thing. And I got some big financial goals. We all do. We all got big financial goals. I'm not going to get it working a 9-to-5 or a rotating shift job like I am now. You know what I mean? Because I'm always going to be trading time for money.
Yeah.
That's never going to change.
You're depending on them.
Huh? Yeah, that's right. That's right. And to be quite honest with you, the direction that they're going isn't that great here lately neither. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I want to be able to control my own time. I want to retire earlier than the average or what you're supposed to retire at, which is like 55, 59 or some shit like that. So I mean, I don't want to be tied to a job for another, I'm 38 now. What would that be? Not good.
A lot longer than you should.
Yeah. 15 years?
17 years.
Yeah.
If you got to carry the one, it's too long. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you got to do math,
yeah.
Right. I'm a math guy. I like doing math, but it's funny you say retire. Like I'm also 38. I don't even dream of retirement. I don't want to retire.
Yeah.
Right. I have no desire to retire. However, I love what you said. I'm trading my time for a dime. Right. That's what you're doing. You are trading your time right now, so other people can make money. Now you're making money, but you're trading your time. And at 38 years old, not for nothing, you're halfway there. Right. You've got 20 years of work. If you think about 18, you got 40 years of working. Right. Let's just do hillbilly math. Right. Mm-hmm. You start at 18. You finish when you're 58. You're halfway there. Right. And I'm the same age. Casey, despite his gray beard, he's actually younger than us by a few years, but he's still doing the same thing. Now he's driving. He's moving. He's probably moving because his truck picks up the Wi-Fi and he's jumping. That's what I'm guessing. All right, so Casey's mobile.
The sun is in my eyes.
Oh my God, Jesus! Texas
but
problems.
You got sunglasses,
those are some first world problems right there. The sun is in my eyes in my air conditioned truck with a sunroof. I got to move my truck to get the sun on my eyes. God bless.
Bougie.
All right. Anyhow. All right. So here's the deal, Trace. I love it. But what is it about junk in particular? I can appreciate, you're right. There's a lot, hard work is becoming a very viable commodity that a lot of people don't have, that are the desire, the whatever. So what is it about junk? Not just, the trades, but junk in particular that piques your interest? Because a lot of our listeners, that's exactly where they're at. There's something about junk that excites them.
Yeah. I've looked at, so any kind of service business like this, the market has to kind of bear it. And that's real specific to that general location, kind of like, real estate, what they say about real estate is local, or whatever they say. I don't forgot what it is. Anyway, here, I feel like there's room for that because there's there's two franchises here, and there's no like owner operators that are running with like 2 trucks, 3 trucks.
Yep.
It's all one man shows outside of those franchises.
Okay.
So I feel like there's a gap here for junk removal, and we're getting a big influx over the past couple of years from people moving from up north, and they're wanting to get away from, whatever it is they don't like up that way. But I feel like there's room here in the market for it. So that's kind of why I went with that. Now I've looked at a bunch of different business, plumbing, anything from plumbing all the way to, junk removal. That's a lot of businesses. But anyway, like I was saying, I think there's room here for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why.
What's interesting is you're already doing more research than some people that I know that got into the junk removal business. You say, who's your competition? They're like, I don't have no competition. And I'm a big fan of, I don't have any competition, but I know who the other players are in town, right? It's a mindset, but you got to know who's doing it. So who else? And that's interesting. You also brought that up, knowing that there's a sweet spot between chucking a truck, name that guy on Craigslist that might mess up your walls and sorry about you, right? And there's a place for that guy. I'm not knocking. I used to be that guy, right? If you cut me a check, you better, right? If you ask me for a COI, I can't spell certificate of liability. Yeah. And I don't know nothing about that, right? So, right. And if you give me cash, even better, right? So I've been chucking a truck, full disclosure, right? And then all the way to having multiple franchises. So who is your competition? Who are the franchises that are in your area currently? And why do you think there's an opportunity there for you?
We have a 1-800 got junk, and we have a college humps.
Yeah. Okay. What's the size?
Go ahead.
What's the size of your market? What's the population of your metro market?
So I am in Lexington County, and then Richland. Richland's got about. I got to pull it up right here so I remember.
That's fine. Yeah, please.
So this is 2020 now. 2020 they had
data.
414, and then 414,000, and then Lexington County had 295, and this is so. Now I would say that they're both together, they are over 700, I would say, because we've had, like I said, we've had a big influx of people moving from up north. So it's probably around 700, I would say, a little bit over. Probably 7
what's
to
the
710.
distance between Lexington and Richland? Yeah. Or drive. I mean, how long does it take you to get from
I don't know right off the top of my head.
Okay,
45 minutes, 30 minutes.
So it's on a map.
Yeah, I'm pulling the map up right now because I'm getting twitchy.
On a map,
I know what he's talking about.
What I would do.
Okay.
The one thing I will say that I learned very well is that as long as you're in an area with a good population, it doesn't matter if you hit every single person in a 5-mile radius or every single person in a 100-mile radius if you're not focusing on one location at a time, right? So the biggest issue, and it's crazy you said this because this is the most common, it's either a franchise or a chuck in a truck. Well, here's why you don't see the middle ground, because the franchise are controlled. They are limited to an area. They can't really venture off too many because they have a bigger franchisor who's done the research and the science and the math and said, hey, look, anything outside of this scope, you're wasting time and money, and that's not what we want you to do. The chuck in the truck is like, hey, I'm available. I can go anywhere, and they will. So their minimum, you always have to think minimum. If your minimum load is $100, how far are you going to go for a minimum load? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're driving an hour to make $100, you're not going to go far doing this. Now, the franchises, they may have to every now and then take one on the chin. It's technically our area, blah, blah, blah. But the chucks and the trucks, the reason why they're so limited is because they're the same guys that will undercut you in your hometown, and then right after that, they're going to drive 45 minutes away to pick up a mattress. You think they're ever going to scale or grow? Mm-hmm. Hell no. Now, what I like to look at is how, in this area that I'm in, how do I get everybody here to know me, my company, my business? I don't want to have to market, even though I'm not going to stop, but I want it to be a household name, either Casey or whatever my company name is. How do I do that? How do I saturate my immediate market? Because after that is saturated, I'd say 50%, then you venture off into maybe 30-minute drive. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. You got to, I see one I've never seen: junk monks, junk removal, junk monks. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I make fun of a lot of names, right? Yeah. I see budget demo and junk removal, Harlan removal, A1 dumpster rentals, 803 cheap and neat movers or junk removal. Is 803 your area code?
Yeah. We got a guy down here.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I like junk monks. I don't know what I don't know what it is about junk monks. They got 53 reviews and 5-star perfect 5-star rating on 53 reviews. I don't see 800. There's 800 got junk Columbia. There he goes. See, 800 got junk. What's interesting about them is they never give you a pinpoint of where they're at. And I don't know. Maybe someone here can chime in on why they never give you a drop. And I don't know, because they just don't, right, by company policy, give the address, or there's something to do with, AdWord buying that I don't know about. And yeah, then you got your college hunks. So you said, so Lexington, what's the city of Lexington? Let's start there.
Yeah. What's the city?
What's the population of the city of Lexington?
Population for the county of Lexington, we got 295.
What's the city of Lexington?
City's going to be a lot. Just the city. Hold on.
Just the city. Give me the city. Let's start there. Aim small, miss small.
21. 21,800. Yeah.
Okay. That's smaller than I thought, but that's fine. I mean, there's not a right or wrong answer. When looking at junk removal, there's a couple arguments to be made on how many residents you need to have to support per truck, right? I've heard you need 50,000 residents for every one truck. There's it ranges significantly depending if you're in a more rural or urban area. I would not take on Columbia, right? You're in Lexington proper yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of the challenges I've seen with a lot of people, and Casey has seen it too. It's like Casey, for example. He's outside of Dallas. He didn't try taking on Dallas and Fort Worth. He aimed on his area of operation. And I've done it myself. I had a franchise in San Diego, and we did all of San Diego. 3 trucks in all of San Diego is nothing. Like, the other junk removal companies will laugh you out of town because trucking a truck is going to take care of his neighborhood, and 800 or the big boys are going to bury you if you go after, right, if you become a nuisance to them. So first and foremost, I would focus on just Lexington. Focus on Lexington, the surrounding area. You know, one of the disadvantages you have just geographically, you got a big old lake just north of you, and that just cuts your ability to what direction you're going. But I would aim small, miss small. Okay, just I never, you know, if you ask me what the capital of South Carolina was, 50-50, I get it right. You know, I've been in South Carolina once because I was in Savannah and crossed the bridge. There we go. So I don't know anything about your area. I look at what is near you, right? So if you right, one of the reasons why the Russians lost the initial invasion and their initial attack in Ukraine was because they went for everything. They tried going after Kiev, Kharkiv, Mariupol, wanted to push towards Odessa, right? And now they're doing biting smaller chunks, and they're having a little more success, right? I'm cheering for the Ukrainians, in case you're wondering, but they're having a little more success because they're winning small battles. So once you win Lexington, right, because that's your hometown and you're going to be the number one guy in town, what's the next logical step? Do you go south to Red Bank, east to Oak Grove? Do you go past Oak Grove to Springdale? Right? What is the next logical? Or do you go southwest to Gilbert? That direction. What to you makes sense? What's your thought?
I wouldn't go that way. I wouldn't go towards Gilbert just because it gets more rural out there. I would go towards the other ones that you mentioned because those are more suburban type areas with neighborhood subdivisions. That would be my ideal thing. Now, Lexington's more of a, I guess you could say it's more of a Class A type area. We got, you know, good schools and all that, and people that, you know, the higher end houses and all that, the people that would pay for this service, I think.
So Lexington's already a higher end suburb in your area.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So if you,
I would just stay there. That sounds like a honey hole, but 21,000 is a tough population to support growth beyond a truck.
So Tracy,
beyond
you have your maps pulled up right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so just look up South Lake, Texas. South Lake, one word, Texas.
Okay.
So for me,
okay.
Well, here I could share that we are you know, I feel bad right now. Our viewers, aren't seeing what I see. Let me this is a good classic. We'll see how good of it there. So I'm in. So real quick for shits and giggles, you guys. Well, we'll see once it
I'll talk
starts,
until you get to there.
Once it starts,
South Lake. South Lake is
you fill in the gap.
Probably either the wealthiest city in Texas or the second wealthiest city in Texas. You know, it's insane. But when I had my franchise, my same territory, I was surrounded by suburbia. I was in between Dallas and Fort Worth. Never went into the city. Didn't really want to, honestly. But the south end of my territory was very low income. It wasn't like the hood, but it wasn't South Lake. So down there you had, you know, houses that were old, 30, 40, 50-year-old houses that are, you know, usually around 1,200, 1,500 square feet, where in South Lake you had 8,000, 9,000, 20,000 square foot mansions. And we made it work because we realized who was our customers. Now, 21,000 people, though, that's the hardest part is. Now, if you look at a ratio, my immediate area that I had at first was like 250,000 people. And then we grew and we got another territory. So let's say 500,000 people. In the 5.5 years that we were in business, when we sold, I remember looking at our last numbers and we had a total of like 14,600 something jobs. And then we looked at our customer count. Our customer count was like 7,000. Okay. Like around that number. So you're telling me in a population of 500,000, my customer count was only 7,000. And of those 7,000 customers, they averaged 2 per customer, right? 2 jobs or more, even though it wasn't like that, but that was just averages.
Mhm.
So you can break that into a ratio, and you can use that pretty much anywhere. If I were to do it, but
Yeah.
I would say starting out.
Correct. South Lake is 31,000 people, right? I know you worked in Keller and Colleyville. You also had, right, just as the crows, right, you had a big old lake, Grapevine Lake in your way, and DFW, which a lot of people don't think is a problem, but when you got to drive around something that's 15, 20 minutes just to get on the other side,
and we own Flower Mound, but we didn't do much business over there because of that huge freaking lake, man. And what I mean by that is, if we got a call, absolutely. But it was hard to market because it wasn't on the way. It was out of the way to go and be present in an area that was an easy 35-minute drive.
Yeah, but you have, I see Yacht Cove, right? I mean, I look at, again, I've never been there in my life, but if you're telling me Lexington is a nice affluent area, right? Lakes.
Yes.
I've never seen a lake with so many little inlets like that. That seems like the party lake of all party lake. Like everyone's got a house on that lake.
It is. It's big.
I'm serious. Like, look, you know what I'm saying? Look at that lake. Like they dug in
big.
Little.
They have concerts and all kinds of crap on it. Dude, it's crazy.
So
it is.
So I would here's what I would do if I was you. We haven't even talked about Junkable. We're just saying, hey, where are you going to market? This is me looking at a map. I say you take Lexington. You never go west of Lexington. Right, I don't know anything about Red Bank. Right, from a geographic standpoint, my shot group, I like triangles. I don't know why I like triangles. Everything in my world is 3. Right, my triangle here, the hillbilly math says you go from Lexington, you kind of hit the where the 1 and 26 hit, and you stay west of 26, or this 20, whatever this is. Yeah, 26. Right.
26,
so basically, your area of operation is north of Highway 1 or maybe even north of 20. I don't know. Yeah. But I like this triangle. I would capture this triangle. And again, I don't know anything about anything. Now, once you capture, well, go ahead.
That whole triangle you got there is mainly neighborhoods.
There you go.
What you got there. And if you go, so here in Lexington, we got like a bunch of, there's a bunch of newer inventory coming on the market. It's actually, the last time I checked, it was like 7,500 houses, and those
aren't ideal jobs.
That was a while back. So it's probably more now. If you go north, go ahead.
Well, new houses don't do you much. New houses don't do you much good
before they move
because they don't have stuff yet, right? If you want to,
exactly. It's
right.
Yeah. Correct. Or it's the post-move cleanup where they got a bunch of boxes.
So
I like 3-bedroom, 2-bath family homes that have been lived in, first-time homebuyer homes, because a lot of people have been in those houses 30, 40, 50 years, and they're the second or third owners.
Yeah.
And they're looking to sell to next first-time homebuyers, but the house has been lived in, or those are the houses that move. The bigger the house doesn't mean the more the money. Now, unless you are the premier guy and you get in with them, like in Casey's case, right? And again, this is a philosophy difference. So from a shot group standpoint, I know you said from the top, Lexington and Columbia. Don't even worry about Columbia.
Don't worry about Columbia.
I wouldn't even. I wouldn't
turn down a job.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't worry about being present in Columbia. No. Like your marketing efforts is what we're really talking about. If you were to let's say tomorrow morning you wake up and say, "Hey, I'm immediately going to go visit 10 different businesses." Where are you going to do that at? Not Columbia. That's pretty much what we're saying. Like Lexington.
Correct. Here's the if I get a phone call in Gilbert, I'm taking the truck and the trailer down there because what is Gilbert from you? 30 minutes, 20 minutes on rural roads?
I can get there in 5.
Oh, it's only 5 minutes from here to here. All right,
it's a straight shot. Maybe 10. It's a straight shot down that number 1 right there for me. So it's not bad at all. It's funny you mentioned that triangle because at the other 2 points of those triangles, and you was talking about the older houses. There's older houses in those other parts, Red Bank, Irmo, that part right there by the lake and all that.
Yeah.
So those neighborhoods are a little bit older.
I like that.
Okay. Hey, hold on now. I said, but here's the deal. My hillbilly math said 20 minutes. And according to this, go from center of town.
We live in the
South.
South.
18 minutes, Jack.
We don't drive 55 miles an hour anywhere.
That's the center of town.
Center of town is 20 minutes.
Speed limits are funny.
Apparently, Tracy's taking a boat, apparently, or a helicopter.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. You guys have a lot of small lakes there. God bless. Every neighborhood's got their own little lake, little inlet.
I personally dispose of a lot of boats.
And I hate landfilling them.
Days.
I got 2 boats in my backyard right now. I hate boats. God, do I hate boats. Here's the problem with boats. Every boat has so much potential.
No, they don't.
But no one else wants them. Boats suck, dude. All right. Now that I got a lay of the land, all right, so we can all agree, aim small, miss small. Capture Lexington, work your way over to work that triangle, right? And the problem is what you're exactly thinking. All of a sudden you're like, oh, man, there's 295,000 people in my county and 400 in Columbia, 700,000 people, but you ain't done one job yet. Focus on the one job, capture one town at a time, and 20,000 people, 21,000 people, if they're the right types of customers, right? You have a good shot group, what you said, higher than average household income, right? Which means they need to have the wealth to acquire the material, right? And they also probably have kids, right? You want kids because kids means they're going to buy stuff they're going to grow out of, and then they're going to run out of space, right? Two dinks, dual income, no kids, other than a couple dogs.
Pretty much someone who wants their time more than anything.
And they don't destroy stuff. Exactly. So whatever. So in your shot group of 21,000, you could probably support a 6-figure junk removal business with you and another guy over time. So first and foremost, let's focus on Lexington, right? How do you become the guy in Lexington, right? So let's talk a little bit. So you've done? I'll commend you this. You've already done more research than some people, and you're listening to podcasts. First, I'd love to, just selfishly, how'd you find out about us? You obviously you had no issues reaching out to us. How'd you find out about us? What made you decide to go with us? And now let's war game into what we're talking about here today. Sure.
So I was at work, and I just searched the junk removal podcast on my phone and found y'all's. Y'all's popped up. I don't know what the algorithm did for y'all, but they did hook y'all up there. Maybe there's not a lot of podcasts on it. I don't know. But
hey, you know what? Hey, that good marketing. Our engineer behind me goes, good marketing. He's listening in.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Casey and I'll tell you this. I told last week, so I'm part of this group called the Idea Collective. And on Fridays, we have a Zoom call where we celebrate our wins. And I said one of my big wins last week was the fact that when we just started this 2 months ago, was within a month basically of releasing content in a podcast, a veteran, right, the person we want to talk to, a veteran who's stuck in a job that wants to do junk removal, found us, that otherwise wouldn't have found us. Like, that is success. You have no idea for Casey and I that get excited that we now have this opportunity. So that's just a victory within itself, because we're on episode 8. We've only released 5, and we're figuring out as we go, but we've already hit some level of success. So God bless. I appreciate you finding us.
And our main,
and getting
our main driving
this
factor
point.
to this is people exactly like you. I'm going to tell you right now, we just had a guy who came in here who I would consider an industry expert in waste management type scope. And Andy and I were learning so much from him. Now, at the same time, I feel, let's say he was doing this podcast and you were talking to him, I think a lot of the stuff he would be putting out would go right over your head just because of where you're at right now. Now, at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that I was listening to, and I'm like writing shit down, like, what the fuck? Like, these numbers he was saying, I'm like, what? So this is...
Oh, 6 years ago, before I did this full time, if I'd have met Mike, I'd been like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. I'm out of my league. I'm like, this guy, it's not relatable. There's a lot of content, and it's intimidating, and it's invulnerable to cold. I tell people all the time, here's my email, here's my cell phone, call me, text me, whatever. Yep. Hardly anybody ever does. The fact that you wrote me a nice email, hey man, let's do this. We adjust the time. Let's jump into it. You already have the chutzpah to get it going, right? More than most. So let's get into it. Have you looked into? And the other thing is, Casey and I came from the franchise world.
Oh my
we
gosh.
know you can do it without a franchise.
So imagine
We know it.
starting tomorrow and already own money.
I'd rather do it without one.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
owe money yesterday and you don't even know it.
Yeah. I'd rather not use a franchise. And see, you mentioned a couple of times about doing the research. That's kind of my issue. I will overanalyze really bad. I will get to the point where I'll
That's
talk myself
fine, because
completely out of it.
But
Yeah,
analysis
it's
by
not-
paralysis.
If you talk yourself
Yeah.
out of
Paralysis by
something, then
analysis.
that means you
Yeah.
did your job right. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the fact that you did research,
You're right.
most
though.
franchisees don't do that shit.
Mhm.
That's why they're a franchisee. You know what I'm saying? Andy and I have
Yeah.
every ability in the world
Yeah.
to be a
But at the
franchisor
same
if
token-
we wanted to. But the fact that you did your own research, it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
I mean-
you want your business and you want to do it well. Now you started. You already started. You shouldn't even know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Now-
I can tell you right off the top of my head how many searches junk removal gets in Lexington versus Columbia.
I didn't know
that's
that
how
shit.
much,
Like
you
the
know,
first
I
month,
look
I didn't know
into
that
this
shit at
stuff.
all.
I'm 6
Yeah.
years into it. I
Exactly.
couldn't tell you right now. Because here's the deal. Once I started hauling junk, I stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be an arrogant asshole, but I remember before I started, I had spreadsheets with census data like you won't believe. Right? I'm working with
Yeah.
2010 data, and it's 2016. I had data for the sake of data, but I knew my zip codes. Like a couple months ago, my marketing company was like, "Hey, can you send me a list of zip codes you like?" I sent them. I think it was what was it? Fuck, I'm trying to remember. I think I got to like AW, so like all the A's and then the AB, whatever. I sent them 50 zip codes. I told them, these are the ones I want. Here's the ones I'm going to take. These are the ones I don't want. And to a point where I was even analyzing, I'm pulling up my customer data from all the years. I'm like, man, do I really testing my assumptions, right? Because we all have bias, right? I have bias to the north side of Milwaukee because that's where I'm from versus the south side for no reason other than that's what I'm comfortable with. You know, so the fact you're doing the data. Now, here's my challenge, though. As an entrepreneur, you're not going to have a lot of answers. And you got to be able to act. This is like the military. You got to be able to make a decision with limited information and go hard on that decision. And
But
it
you're
may
creating
work
your
out and
answer.
it may not. And you got to have the you got to have the attitude that you're going to live to fight another day. And I'm going to challenge you. If you're an analysis person, you can analyze data, but you got to get out and just do it.
And
yeah,
I would
So
say
that's
true.
year one, you're going to be in the truck. You are going to be in the truck. For one, you need to know your landscape. Like, you have to know your area. And for two, you got to know how every aspect of this company that you're building works. Because what saved me was when I got out of the truck, because it was time. Year two, it's like, look, you got to get out of the truck now, because we have a system that's working, but now we need you on the front lines selling. You on the front lines telling people about you, about what we're doing. And that's the thing is, lean on the veteran aspect, absolutely. But at the same time, you're going to know when to say no. And that's the biggest failure of any entrepreneur. They don't know how to say no. They think, oh, I can do this job. Yeah. And then they do it. And they're like, fuck, why did I do that job? It sucked.
But yeah, you know, the beautiful thing about you, though, is you got, you know, however you do this, if you got 15, 16 days off a month where you're off during the day and it's rotating, you can start doing it now, right? Go get yourself a truck and trailer, start banging jobs. If you don't enjoy banging jobs and finding ways to get rid of stuff without just taking it to landfill and saving money and how to do jobs better, if you don't even enjoy doing it now, you're not going to enjoy doing it when you got 3, 4, or 5 trucks.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to get out and start doing it. What is your end state? What is, you know, I know you say you're talking about retiring, but what does that mean? Is it you're just looking to buy freedom, or you want a 6 or 7 or 8 figure business that is running and gunning and you're chilling? What does success look like to you in 15 years?
You nailed it. You nailed it with the freedom part. That's the one I want. I want more time. So if that means what I was thinking, 2 or 3 trucks, and you know, now looking at the population, maybe 1 to 2 trucks and a 6-figure income, and I manage it, and you know, 4 or 5 hours a day. That would be perfect for me because it gives me something to do. It keeps me actively
3 years.
engaged.
Yeah.
3 years. Yeah, you can get there in 3 years.
But
Yep.
but
I did it in 3. Casey did it in 3, and we did it in 3.
Yeah.
We did it in 3 with
And
bigger
I will say-
aspirations.
Yeah. Well,
no,
maybe I need to aim higher.
I think your aim's fine.
No. Hey, no. If you say, hey, I want a 6-figure income and I want to work 20 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
I'm not. There is. Trust me. You want to talk about aiming higher? I had 10 locations across 7 different states in the country, and Casey told me I was an idiot, and I was like, "Watch me." 18 months later, I'm like, "Man, that sucked." Right?
Yeah.
But and Casey, all the while, went from 3 trucks to 4 trucks, but bought himself a nice house, got himself a girl, got a baby or 2 out the deal. Right? And there was no. It wasn't. You're gonna aim higher. It's
So
your success.
we both
is your
learned
success.
from our failures too.
Yeah.
Right?
So like my biggest failure, honestly, was going so hard into something I wasn't 100% sure about. I didn't get into junk removal because I had a passion for it. I got into it because it was an opportunity and I was at the end of my rope at the time. And I took this opportunity and I said, you know what? I'm going to go full speed ahead because if I'm going to do something at this point in my life, I'm going to do it right. And if I fail, I fail. But I was homeless. I didn't have a job. Like, it was a shit show. It was before I even met Andy, of course. Now, Andy, he grew up in the world of recycling and scrapping, and he already had some sort of passion for the waste industry. And that's why I learned a lot from him, and I continue to, because I have 7 years experience in this industry. He has 20-something, I don't know. But the cool thing is we both had the same kind of goals, and we both learned from each other, even at our biggest successes and our biggest failures. Like, if I would win big, guess what? I would tell Andy something, and he'd be like, holy shit, that's awesome. If he would win big, I'd be like, hey, how'd you do that? But if I lose big, guess who I'm calling too?
Yep.
Andy. Because guarantee he's
Andy,
probably done it too. You know, like, it's not going to be all gravy train.
Yeah.
And last year I had a big project. Right when Casey was getting out of his franchise, I had a big project. And I'm like, hey, man, I was like, I need someone I can trust to do this project. He's like, I don't know. I was like,
talk about little information on a big-ass fucking job.
It was the first time. Oh, my God. Yep. He asked me a bunch of questions. I'm like, hey, man, I can give you the answers, but it's about to change in about 10 minutes when you show up. And then the second location he gets to, he's yelling at me. I was like, hey, man, I can give you information that's going to change. Or I can give you no information. Those are your 2 options. And so Casey's very detail oriented where I'm not. So, okay, so let's get in the meat of it. We keep saying that. We'll get there eventually. What is it? What are your concerns? What questions do you want answered right before you get out and start doing it? Or what do you want to know as you're doing it? Just what questions you got for us?
That, you really answered it, but the biggest one was, can this market support it? What I wanted. That was the absolute biggest thing, because I know how Lexington is. It's real easy to go from, like, a bunch of neighborhoods to rural area where people don't pay for that type of service that often. So I was worried, about it. And that might be my own limiting beliefs. I don't know,
It is.
But yeah. Okay. So that's fair. Then, like you said, you just need to go and do it. You said it could take 3 years. If I could do it in 2, maybe I could come back on the show.
Well,
no, here's the deal. Prove us wrong, right? Get there faster, right? You were talking too about borrowing or renting or your buddy's dump trailer. I think you said in the right, like get a pickup truck and a dump trailer and start banging jobs. Yeah, the challenge is
money now. Here's the other thing I was worried about. Casey was mentioning, he was saying that he jumped into it full time. And I'm at a point now with my job where I'm fed up with it. Like, we've had a whole bunch of new management come in.
Make a plan.
I've been there 6 years.
I'm gonna tell you right now. We saw this in the franchise world. Franchise owners, they came in. Hey, I have some retirement from the military, whatever the fuck. I want to buy a franchise, but I don't want to be there. I just want to have a franchise. This ain't McDonald's, dude. This doesn't run itself. Now, the cool thing is, in your situation, like Andy said, I guarantee you can do good with your current schedule. Now, you're going to be worn the fuck out, but if it's a means to an end, so be it for the first month or 2. Because you have to understand, do you really want it? Now, on the flip side, I would honestly tonight draw up a plan. Let's say tomorrow you wanted to start hauling junk. What does it look like on paper? Give you yourself a month and then 6-month plan. For the first 2 months, I'm employed by Michelin. What about after you leave Michelin? What's that look like? Because I'm going to tell you right now, of the people that I know that had a good job and they try to do junk removal on the side, their biggest issue was never quitting their full-time job. They failed junk removal because they didn't want to leave their security. But how is that an entrepreneur if you're not going to leave a safe zone to go create something of your own? And that's how they failed, honestly. You know what they said at the end of the day? Well, at least I still got my benefits. You know what? True that. You got your benefits. But they also found out the hard way, and they didn't last 2 years. But someone with like you're fed up with your job, don't do something hastily yet. Make a plan, because right now that job you hate pays your bills. Yeah. So you got to be smart, and you're in the perfect situation to do so, You
got to let's talk about liabilities, right? Within your life, a lot of people get caught up. You got wife, kids. What's your situation there?
Yeah, girl and kids. Yeah, and see, I wouldn't be jumping in it like without zero money. I've got reserves. Like I could get into it. I could go buy a dump trailer tomorrow, and I'd be able to go probably 7 or 8 months without a paycheck and be fine. So it's not like I'm coming at it, just a guns blazing, burn the bridges type thing. I wouldn't have to make money right out of the gate.
Correct, but what you also need to know is what that money is, right? Let's just do hillbilly math here, right? Let's say it's $50,000 a year for you to run your household. That's all in, right? So with that said, if you got $25,000, that's 6 months worth of money where all your bills are paid, right? But now you haven't invested a single dollar into your business,
right?
And if you don't, if you don't invest any, then you right? Like Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank says, "Hey, I'm going to give you I'm going to give you dollars, and I want them to come back with friends." Right? So let's go with your analogy of I got 8 months worth of money, right? Let's go with that. Let's go with whatever $50,000 yet. So whatever that two whatever. Now I got to do math, right? So you got $35,000. Well, you're going to spend $37.50, right? Shit, I can't do the math right now. What is it? It's 33,000. 33,000 would be. I'm trying to figure out what 2/3 of $50,000.
You're sitting in front of a fucking calculator.
It's $33,000. I know. I got my phone here. Anyhow, right? So let's say you got $33,000, right? 8 months worth of money. Well, you're gonna need to spend some of that today, and now you only got 6 months worth of money, and then 5 months worth of money. Right? Yeah. I tell people you got to figure out what your risk aversion is. I've been down to days of money, not even weeks. I've been down to days of money. I had there's a couple I work with, veterans, both veterans, husband and wife out of Tennessee, and they were down to about 30 days of money. And I'm like, you got to go get a job. And he goes, I will do anything. So 2 weeks prior, he refused to cold call. Now, as soon as I told him, you got two choices. You either cold call or you go get a job at Home Depot. He started cold calling like what you wouldn't believe and got the first job. And the first job turned into a second job. And she didn't like posting on Facebook. But you know what? Got to do something. So I started posting on Facebook every day. I said, take pictures of whatever and just talk about who you are. Like, you got to figure out what are you willing to do that's not going to take you right back to Michelin.
You got to.
Right? What is that? What are you willing to do? And then you got to do it. I met with a realtor today. She said she had a buyer that wanted a house in this area called Germantown in Wisconsin. And he could not find a house. She cold called 250 homes that fit the criteria, none of which were for sale. The one guy was like, oh, yeah, I'll sell my house. Turns out the buyer didn't even like that house, but she had convinced the seller to sell the house. So she ended up selling that guy's house and finding the buyer a different house. Why? Because she said 7 hours, 250 phone calls. Mm-hmm. That's what she was willing to do to get over it. So this whole notion, especially in junk removal, where people are like, oh, I don't know what to do, or I'm not willing. No, what are you willing to do? Right? Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out with you, right? Get yourself a truck, throw a logo on the side, and start hauling junk.
What are your customers doing?
Start walking in and you don't have to worry about Google AdWords. What are your customers doing?
Where are they at? Where do they hang out? I mean, dude, you know how much business I got, honestly, at a damn coffee shop? Or if I had to go to Lowe's or Home Depot to buy some shit, I'd park my big-ass wrap truck in the back of the parking lot. You know what?
Dude, right there. Where we're sitting in the light, they all got to sit in that same stupid light for 3 minutes to turn onto the major road, park a truck there. Or you said you were in real estate. I'd call
Flipper
every
investor.
realtor you
Oh,
ever
my
met and
gosh.
be like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
what's going on? It's Tracy. Remember me? I'm
Yeah.
doing junk removal now.
Oh, yeah. I've got this thing
That's
is
your most
full
valuable
of
asset
real
right
estate
there.
people, real estate agents.
It is.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
real
you
estate
just dial
agents,
for
real
dollars.
estate investors. I know a ton of people that flip the houses. Dude, I hadn't even tapped that network yet because I feel like whenever I do the jobs, it feels like you're gonna get a whole bunch of them. But that's just a beginner thing, I think.
So what?
You know,
Go get a
everybody
bunch.
feels that
Go,
way.
go,
But the
go,
thing
go,
is, though, once I
go
start-
get a whole bunch.
Because you know why?
Yeah, exactly. It's just getting away. It's just getting away. I just kind of want to do it full time. I don't want
Hey, in
because
the
I've already done the
military,
part time thing.
Did you ever
You know, I
hear
did that.
better to have it and
Okay,
not need
so-
it than need it and not have it? Same rule of thumb here.
Yeah.
Better to have too many jobs
Yeah.
and not enough. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to happen. Now, with
Yeah.
your trailer, real quick before we breeze over this, with your buddy's trailer that you're planning on renting, another thing I will tell you, every single time, 100% outcome, whenever I talk to another franchisee or another junk removal guy, they're always like, hey, yeah, I have a landscape trailer, but I'm meaning to get a dump trailer. That'll be my next one. Well, come to find out, they hated their landscape trailer because they couldn't do so many jobs in it. So they were like, well, now I got to go buy a dump trailer and I haven't paid this or whatever. Now, what I learned from my stepdad is spend money fast and upfront. Like in the beginning, spend the money. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when you get going, the last thing you're going to do is change shit up. Because it's going to take a big pause.
Yeah.
You know what?
true.
I'm a tool guy, right? I don't care if you like Milwaukee, rigid, DeWalt. I'm a DeWalt guy, right? I don't care what you buy, but don't go buy
Harbor Freight,
consumer grade stuff like Ryobi and Black & Decker. Stay away from Harbor Freight. They got great dollies. I will say I love Harbor Freight dollies because they got these big lifetime warranty. Break them every other month. Anyways, like even with tools. But here's the thing: even with your employees, if you buy nice stuff, they'll treat it right. I don't know how many guys. I've had this argument before. Like I like used trucks. I'm like, right. I was like, why do you like used trucks? Oh, because you buy them, you pay them off right away. But the problem is, if that truck sits one day or it's broken down one day, that's $1,500, $2,000 in revenue. It's not out working. And then you got to go get a rental, fart around $200-$300 later, and you might have missed a job or two because you got to fart around doing it. Like I'm all about buying new when you can. Now to Casey's point, I started on utility trailers. I love utility trailers, single axle, but goddamn, I replaced every axle I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like getting a dual axle dump trailer.
Yeah, and
that's the way to go. It really is.
Where you're at,
truck trailer model.
Where you're at, Tracy, it's Andy and I have always talked about this from when we first met. We have so many jobs that we've done, and we're like, how the hell are you doing this? Or we realize they're two different markets, man. For instance, he runs box trucks and fucking utility trailers that don't dump. Me, I had 6 dump trailers. That's it. Like I didn't F with anything else because that's down here in Texas, do brush, concrete, brick, remodels, you name it. It's probably the same thing in South Carolina. The brush was and this is something we can get in later on, of course, but for me, I found that brush was almost one of my biggest profit-making services because it's compactable, recyclable, and everybody's going to have it. Come season change, everybody's going to have it.
And it's low.
It's low risk.
It's low risk.
Yeah.
Yes, it's low risk because you could do it every year. You're not going to scratch a wall. Go pick up brush.
It's cheap to get.
We don't have brush in Wisconsin, right? Some people, So some people want to do snow removal. I don't do any earthly materials. Doesn't work for this market. Okay,
yeah, we got a ton here.
Okay, so you sort of get into a little bit about what is holding you back. Like, what stops you tomorrow quitting your job, buying the dump trailer, and getting after it? What stops you?
Well, before this call, it was, can the market support it? That was like I said, that was the biggest thing. Now, I really don't know. I don't have to go into work anymore. I mean, look, man, it's been a long time coming. I've been trying for a long time to get out of that plant, y'all. I have, like I said, I've done the real estate thing. I've done some investing, and I've done it part time. And I know what that kind of leads to is, like Casey was saying, it'll burn you out. And that's easy to do with this job that I have. So I'm just kind of ready to snip that off.
Well, think about this.
Nothing else.
Think about you get home
back
from your junk removal job. You got 2-3 hours to go to sleep before you start your Michelin job. And you're like, man, I am dead tired. I am beat to hell. And in the back of your head, you're like, I'm only half-assing what I'm doing. Like, wow, all this pain and suffering, and I'm only doing 50% of what I could do. I'm going to tell you right now, the hardest thing I ever did in my entire life, it wasn't war. It wasn't joining the military, doing all this other shit. It was owning my own business and being accountable for my people. But the best thing I ever did was own my own fucking business and be accountable for other people. So it was one of those things. It was like the hardest thing ever, but I wouldn't trade it for the freaking world, man. Because it got me to where I am now, because guys like us, if we put our minds to something, we can do it, man. And you're already on the right track. Like, you're way ahead of where I was, probably where Andy was when we first started out. I mean, hell, I didn't know shit about my market.
I did the side thing for 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing side jobs for 5 years, got deployed, and I was gearing up for deployment down to Gitmo. I knew I was deploying, and I said, hey, when I get back from Gitmo, I don't want a job. I don't want to have a job ever again. I came back. I worked 6 months for this woman as an operations manager. It was the best last job you could ask for, because she gave me the autonomy to run things. She taught me how to business, like, hey, how to business, right? How to run a small business, right? I was thinking about doing, hey, if I make $1 million, that'd be awesome. She's like, why stop at one? And I was like, all right, that was awesome, right? She wanted to scale her company to $10 million and retire. I was like, man, that's awesome. I was thinking I'm always get to $1 million and retire, And I'm like, okay, like she taught me what next looked like. I worked for her for 6 months, and even the first 3 months I was excited, and the last 3 months I was just working. And as soon as I jumped and took the leap, it was in basically the end of April, or whatever, mid end of April of 2016. I haven't looked back since, and I've had some trying times. Like, the roller coaster of entrepreneurship is not for everybody. The worst that happens is you do it, you buy a dumb trailer, it ain't for you. You go back to working a job, and you trade the trailer in for maybe more than you paid for it, right? Yeah. Especially with inflation. But that's it, right? And you know what? Failure is an option, and I've seen a lot of people fail. And once you realize, okay, failure is an option, well, what do we got to do to not check that box? The people that fail are the ones that think they got it all figured out, think that the phone's just going to magically appear, think that just because they tell people they're an entrepreneur, people will give a shit. No, you have to recognize failure is an option. There is a door in which I lose all of this. What am I willing to do so that is still an option, but a less likely option?
And
or outcome.
The people that fail, the people that fail and then just stop because they're scared of failing again, those are the true failures. I'm telling you right now. But the guys that fail and they get back up and say, you know what? Okay, how can I do this differently? And they keep going. I mean, you can't succeed without failure. They go hand in hand. It's like life and death, right? A death is a part of life. Well, failures is part of success. Now, the cool thing is, though, what I love about being, I guess, my own boss, an entrepreneur, or whatever you want to fucking call it, is if I do fail, I have no one else to blame but myself. Like, I can't go get mad at some random motherfucker, but hey, what the fuck? He's like, I don't know you. Like, what are you talking about? But the cool thing is, when you succeed, you can be like, holy shit, look what I'm capable of, right? Golly,
I did that.
It changes your entire outlook on life. And real quick, I had haters against me when we first started, just because we had a plan. People don't like when you have plans for some reason. But my mom and I had a fucking plan when we started our business. And other franchisees were like, well, easy for you to say, you have this. I'm like, yeah, it's called a fucking plan. When you have a plan, it means you're preparing. And they hated on us for it. And then they're like, oh, you're too expensive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our labor rate was $150 an hour for 2 guys. Everybody else was $100, $120, whatever. Oh, you're too expensive. Well, guess what? We never fucking changed our pricing, ever. Because we were like, that's what our pricing is. It worked for us. So in doing this, research is great. Keep doing it. But you got to get out there and try it. Like, I would do this. Your next time that you have some freedom, fuck it. Post a Facebook message or a post. Hey, junk removal services. Call this number. just even a bed, even your truck bed. Why not? Right? It'll prove to you that your market will uphold it, because you're going to get a call. Hey, I got some shit you can haul away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a business name picked out?
No, I don't. I went ahead and made a website there and got it all up to
I have a
SEO'd
website
up and everything. But I haven't got the
you built a website, you don't have a brand or a logo, and you already got a website?
No, yeah. Well, I wanted to go ahead and get it into the Google, the search console, where it ranks it and everything.
Yeah,
so I'm already kind of ranking
SEO.
for. Yeah, I'm
What's
already
your
starting to
website?
rank for some keywords for Lexington junk removal. LexingtonTrashRemoval.com.
So I would drop the word trash.
Yeah, or buy another domain.
Correct. So the reason here's why I would drop the word trash, because that has a negative connotation, and also then people are going to be calling you for their curbside trash. Even the guy who went in the last episode, he didn't like the word junk because 800 Got Junk founder was talking about how junk is a term used in Canada, and it basically it's small in scale and nature. So he's like, hey, what do you got? I use the word clutter often. My first company was called Clutter Busters. I would get, again, it's somewhat regional what you guys call it, but the SBA looks at junk removal as a subsegment of the overall waste industry. I would lean in on the word junk because of the junk removal, and then refer to people's items as not junk, but come up with a better name to refer them as. So I would start there, and I would lean in on the fact, you're National Guard. What was your MOS?
I was a communications 31U.
31 uniform.
Yeah.
Were you ever deployed?
No.
Okay, just there in South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina National Guard. I would lean in on that. Right. I was very much opposed to that for years. I've been in the Army 18 years now. I was very much opposed to it when I had my first business. Casey leaned in on it. I eventually leaned in on it when I got into the franchise world. But lean in on it, right? And go to market on. Hey, I'm a veteran. I'm local. I'm a family man. I'm an entrepreneur. Are you from Lexington originally?
Yes, sir.
All right. So born and bred junk removal. Shit, that whatever. Something like that, because you want to go after, right? You're in a smaller community, right? You want to go after the franchisors without going after them, right? You want to differentiate yourself, and you also want to be just chucking a truck. You don't want to be unknown junk removal guy with, Sanford and Son, wood sides on the pickup. Yeah. Right. I mean, I would get a name and a brand that has something to do with, the local aspect. Is there anything specific about your region or area that's not, you don't want to go too small like Lexington or like those guys that are like 803. I don't like that because it limits your ability to grow in the future.
21,000.
But is there anything else?
Lifetime customers is what you're looking at.
Potential lifetime customers, right? If you want to go bigger than that, but get a name. I mean, you could just be Tracy's removal service for now. It doesn't matter.
Have you done a job
yet?
And
bang jobs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I did. I did one where they had like some bricks in a commode, and that was it. And the guy paid me like $50.
An outhouse?
No, just the toilet. The toilet and some bricks.
Toilet. Yeah, and that's how it's going to be. My first month, I made $7,000 total gross. First month. And you know what? It sucked. But you know what? The best thing you can do is just get out there and pound pavement, man. Especially in the southern regions, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if Andy can attest to this much, but here, everybody's people person. I mean, everybody likes to meet and greet you. And I'm going to tell you right now, the biggest thing for me was knowing my customers. What do they want? Where are they? Who are they looking for? Because anybody can go and Google shit. But when they think, oh, you know what, Tracy, call Tracy. He'll take care of you. Like, this guy is awesome. That's literally that was the good and bad of what I did with J-Dog. Because the good thing was it worked. The bad thing was after I left, I was no longer J-Dog. So people would call me, and actually my biggest customer stopped using my company after I left. So sucks for them, the new owners. But they used me because it was me. They're like, hey, we like dealing with you. We liked how you had things, how you ran things. So that told me that what I was doing was the people aspect of it, right? South Carolina is not much different than the rest of the southern region, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, but get in front of people and just be upfront and honest. Hey, look, I just started this junk removal company. This is what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Short, brief, who you are, what you've been through, what you did, military service, whatever. People want to know you. They want to know who they're calling, who's going to be in their house. Is it just some random person they don't know going to be in their house looking through all their shit? Or is it going to be Tracy, who I've talked to a couple times and I trust him, and hey, you know what? I'm not there right now, Tracy, but here's my code to get in the gate or whatever, you know?
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think what you're alluding to also is organic growth, and that's probably like the best
100%.
Word of mouth. You know, you don't have to spend the organic growth don't cost a dime, and it's the best one. So,
but it costs time. Yeah, but it costs time and effort, and you got to put the time and effort into relationships and getting to know people. That's the key, right? You want to be to a point where they don't even know your name is Tracy. They're like, the junk removal guy, he got you. So, here's his number, right? Yeah, because he trusts you, your process, and eventually your people. Because one of the other challenges is you got to think, hey, you know, if you have that, I want to make 6 figures, right? Hillbilly math again says 20% return. So if you want to make 6 figures, you got to do $500,000. So you need 2 trucks doing $250,000 a piece, and you're on the 3rd truck banging out estimates, going to networking events, and hauling occasional loads, right? In order to get there, you need 6 employees, 2 full-time guys that can run trucks, 2 full-time guys that can work, and 2 part-time guys that can jump it on bigger jobs. Right, that's your right, and then an operations or admin person. Right, so you have a crew of 7 plus you to get $500,000 in revenue and $400,000 in expenses, netting you $100,000. That is about the math of it. Right,
and this market can do it.
You got to start somewhere.
Right, and that market can do it. Yeah, you can do that with 100,000 population. And if you're really good and you got a lot of organic and it's the ideal population, you can do it with 50,000 people. And again, easy. That's that triangle of that triangle of Lexington to 23 to 26 down to 6. Right? That triangle, right? Again, that's probably about 50,000 people or equivalent as far as homes, right? Because when you have less industrial, more residential, 50,000 people. You can do that. You can grow a $500,000 a year junk removal business where you're netting 20%, you're making 6 figures, and you're working 4 to 5 hours a day. And you got to get that operations or admin person in about the time you get that 2nd truck to start scheduling you and build it organically, right? Whether it's your wife or some a business partner, there's a lot of things that person can be, right? Because you're going to be on the truck. And Casey and I, we've scaled a little bit different because of who we had with us. Right, like I had my brother, so he banged the jobs while I did operations. Casey had his mom, so he was banging jobs while she did operations, right? But we know that that operations person is really your number 2, and you could be an owner operator running 2 to 3 trucks with an admin operations dispatch person and grow a business to $500,000-$600,000. Make that $100,000 you want.
You could do it in 2 years.
What's that?
Yeah, like your second
2 years. You could do that in 2 years. Yeah,
I guarantee it. Yeah. If you do it right, if you're all in by this time or whatever, the end of year 2, you're going to see over $500,000.
Yep.
But you can't do it by yourself, and that's the biggest. That's the biggest downfall, man.
Nope.
If you're in that truck and if at any point in time you're like, I can't trust anybody else to drive or do the jobs, then you're not. You're never going.
You're right. You'll never be able to trust them. I know a guy in PA who was doing $30,000 a month. He was still on every single job. So he's doing $350,000 a year, never got out of the truck because he never trained his replacement. He never sent anybody else to networking events, so he did all the networking events. He never trained someone how to do estimates. He never let anybody else answer the phone. So it's like, then you'll never get there.
Yeah, but
you can't do it, and plus your body's gonna wear out too.
You know what?
Your first year, I know.
I would say that it's like. From day 1 to day 365, your goal should be saturation.
You got to be on every job
of your area. I mean, honestly, if I could go back in time
Yep.
and do it all over again, I'm telling you, your first year, you're going to find out real quick what does not work and what does. In your first year, that's all it takes. In your second year, it's funny. The second year, you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going to do all that shit I did last year. Whoa, why did I just double all my revenue? Oh, because you weren't wasting time doing the wrong shit. But you got to have that. You have to have that first year.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny you say that because I kind of noticed that whenever I was a realtor and working. Now that was 2 years, so it did take me a while, doing it part time. But you mentioned, you was talking about how things stop. You figure out what don't work. I figured out a whole lot of stuff in those in that 2 year part time frame working in real estate. So it's kind of like I got the experience. I know that I have to go out there and get after it. But the thing is, though, it's like you said, it's just leaving that security. And doing that at 38 is scary as hell. I'll be honest with you, but it's what stands in my way. So I got to go. I got to make it happen.
Oh, you are? Okay. See, I'm 33.
I jumped.
Shit.
Yeah. I jumped at 32, 31, 32, and it doesn't matter. I don't care when the number is. You got to jump. Yeah. Because you don't want to be 48, 58.
We just talked to
right?
Mike.
It didn't happen at 28. It didn't happen at 18.
He's like, hey, this is my goal. And he has an investment in over 100 companies. And he was telling us, he's like, I'm 56. He's like, my goal is to have an investment in 1,000 companies. And I'm over here like, holy shit, he's 56. And that's his end game, 1,000. And he's only got not even a 200. The A's don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, Casey, we just did. So our first, we're on 9. Episode 8 of this podcast. Our first.
Yeah. Mike was 8.
No, this is 9. You're right. Episode 9. Mike was 8. You know what? Our first 6 episodes. Sorry. Our first 6 episodes was you and I bullshitting. Episode 7, Casey was busy having a baby.
Watching my wife have one.
And I. Yeah. Well, watching your wife have one. For the record, I just want to say this on in the internet worlds. Our podcast producer, Taylor, who's on the other side of the screen as me right now, had a baby at noon today and was like, "Hey, babe, let's make this happen. I got a 5-hour podcast. Can we do that?" Yeah. He walks in casual, like he always does, sets everything up, tells me I'm running late, which I was. I sit down, we do the podcast. Afterwards, I casually was like, "Oh, hey, isn't your wife doing pretty good?" Pretty soon he goes, "Oh yeah, she had the baby at noon today." I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Oh, she said I could leave," and I was like. Now I owe his wife like flowers or cookies or something. I don't even know what you give a woman that just had a baby. Casey, on the other hand, he's got to take the whole day off. He takes the whole week off. He forgot he had two. He had 2 kids today.
That's the biggest difference in.
Just say it. I'm just
business owner, employee, and he's like, "Get your ass back here. We got shit to do."
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to press these buttons. I don't know how to. All I know is I get a bunch of emails from Riverside FM. That's all I know.
That's all I know.
Yeah, I press the red button. It counts down. We start talking. I press it off. I walk out the room. Taylor's got me good. All right. Well, with respect to time and Taylor's new baby, Congrats, Chloe, Taylor. My new Chloe. So we got a Levi, we got a Levi and a Chloe. So in 9 episodes we have 2 podcast babies of the 3 people that bring us this podcast. So this is where I'm at, Case. I enjoyed this, Tracy. No. Let's not wait 2 years to have you back on. I want to have you back on in like a month or 2. I want to have you back on when you start doing the thing.
Okay.
Because then you're going to have some real questions to ask us. Because today it's what's stopping you. Mm-hmm. Nothing sounds good. Our work here is done. We can sit here and you're not going to – I want you to come back to us with 15, 20 jobs. Say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, right? It's hard for Casey and I to analyze something when there's nothing there but ideas and thoughts and dreams and hopes, right?
Yeah.
So let's do that. Tracy, you are more than welcome. Also, for anybody else that's listening, we're up to 1 hour and 4 minutes now. Anybody else that's listened, life is this simple. Everything. If you have a smartphone, you can find out information anywhere and everywhere. And I'll argue that most people will give you the time if you ask. Tracy, I commend you. You email. There's people I've known for years that are like, I've always wanted to ask you this. Just fucking ask. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I had not asked. Mike, the random guy that I was like, oh, I just had lunch with this guy, just blew our minds for an hour at our last episode because I asked. I was like, hey, I would love to have you on the podcast. So, Tracy, I commend you because you had the chutzpah and the wherewithal just to ask the question, to shoot an email, be vulnerable, be honest, being transparent, and that's what it's about. Yeah. So I challenge you to continue doing it. I challenge those that are listening now. If you want to keep working for other people, then do it. Listen to our podcast for fun. Maybe we'll tell a joke every now and then, whatever. But if you want to do something in this world, if you want to value your options over your obligations, we learned that from Mike. If you want more time than dimes, right? Because right now you're just trading time for a paycheck. And I guarantee you there's more money to be made. You can't have more time in this earth. So when you're ready, reach out to that person. Doesn't have to be the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Reach out to that person that has potentially the answer and ask the questions. I believe in the good of humanity. I believe that most people will give you the answers and information you're looking for that'll make you get you where you want, right? So that you can get there without having to face the same challenges. I'm telling you, Casey, you got to get out there, or Tracy, you got to get out there and stumble a little bit so Casey and I got something to chew on next time we talk. Okay. And there will be a next time because you're going to make a plan. I will send you my business plan. It's 45 pages, more data than you want. You can copy and paste it and put in South Carolina instead of Wisconsin and fill in all the numbers I got. And I reread it last year. It was about 85% correct to this day. And I'll take an 85% plan over a zero plan all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'll do. I'll give you my business plan. It doesn't do me no good. I'm already running the thing, and feel free to compete with me at any time. I want you to get out there and make this industry better. Challenge yourself. Veteran entrepreneurship is a passion for both Casey and I, and we want to see you succeed. We're your biggest advocates.
And I'll say one thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
I do want to say one thing before you go. So like Andy said, 2 weeks ago we had a baby. I didn't make $1 in the month of May, not one. Now, fortunately enough for me, I was okay. We had planned that I was going to take some time off in May, whatever. Now, I did not think I was not going to make any money at all in May, so that sucked. But this month I had a job that I'm actually starting tomorrow morning. It's a house demo. $17,643 is the total. It'll take me 2 days. I net about 11 grand off of that. Okay. Now, I actually lost that job because this guy I've been working with a month and a half, and he was like, oh, we're just going to do it ourselves. So you know what he did? He called a good buddy of mine who I helped a year ago get his business started. He rents equipment. He called him. Oh, I want to rent equipment for this, this, and this. Well, that guy knew what I was doing. And he was like, I'm going to tell you right now what you're going to be spending. That guy called me back. Hey, you know what? Never mind. I want to use you. I know you're a little bit more pricey, but this guy said you'll do it right and you'll get it done. You'll take care of us. Now, my point is the person on the other end of that phone helped me get that job locked down, right? If I don't have this job tomorrow, that means I'm out there struggling again because I'm going to tell you now, going a month without a paycheck sucks ass, even if you're prepared for it. And there's nothing that will drive you even harder than having a family behind you that relies on that paycheck. And the coolest thing about it is when I try harder, things happen better. It's weird. But whenever you get out there and you actually do your fucking job as a business owner and things start happening, well, there you go. There's your answer. Get out there, make shit happen. That's all I want to say. Like,
hell yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You can talk about it all day long, but ain't nothing gonna happen until that's true. That's true.
Here's the 12-word life lesson I will give every entrepreneur out there. It might apply to every person out there, but definitely entrepreneurs. We'll leave it at this. 3 life lessons. You got to do them in this order. It's real simple. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world.
Boom.
Shut the fuck up. You're going to have naysayers. Don't talk about it before you do it. Just get out there and do it. Be proud of it. Don't let that paralysis by analysis bug get the better of you. If you go bang 15 jobs and next time we talk to you, you're like, junk removal sucks. This is stupid. All right, man. At least you did it. You did the thing. You told the world, and then you shut up and figured it out.
Yeah.
Or after 15 jobs, you're like, you know what? I'm hungry for 16 and 17. And before you know it, you're going to have a customer Rolodex of 7,000 customers in 1,500, or sorry, 15,000, 20,000 jobs you completed. Because you're always going for that next one. You got the hunger and the passion and the desire and drive to do it. That's my challenge. So we'll see you again. We're excited to see you on your journey. For other veterans, other entrepreneurs out there, ring us up, dial us up. For Andy Weins, Casey Bubba Lawrence, and our newfound friend Tracy down in South Carolina, this has been episode 9 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast.